Legend car, era car. Production on all continents except Antarctica. Tens of millions of sales. Has the 11th generation of the model become a worthy successor to the work of their ancestors? So far, everything is going relatively well. But what will happen next? The truth is disappointing. The legendary Japanese quality is losing ground. And Corolla, alas, is proof of this. According to the International Vehicle Reliability Rating, TUV, over the past 10 years, Corolla has lost a lot in terms of reliability, changing its position in the top 10 to the second and even third 10. Let's try to figure out if the fault of the 11th generation of the model is great in this. To begin with, a few figures, from which, perhaps, something will become clear about this model. Since many cars from our reporting period are still under warranty, it should be noted that MO on Corolla must be done every 15,000 km or once a year. The engine oil and its filter are changed every 15,000 km, and candles, every 90,000 km. Once every 30,000 km, the air filter needs to be replaced, and the fuel filter, once every 75,000 km. It is curious that the guarantee against through corrosion, which reaches 12 years for some brands, is valid here only for the period of the factory warranty, 3 years or 100,000 km. Worth thinking about. Moreover, questions about the paintwork, made on the basis of environmentally friendly water-based paint, are starting to appear among car owners, according to internet forums. And this despite the body of galvanized steel. There are questions about the tightness of the body. His whims come down to weak waterproofing of internal cavities, engine compartment, door cavity, trunk. In winter, the moisture that has got there happens to freeze. But there are practically no complaints about the engines. Here the status quo is maintained. We were offered 3 atmospheric gasoline units with a capacity of 99, 122 and 140 horsepower, with a volume of 1.33, 1.6 and 1.8 liters, respectively. All motors are quite economical and so far loyal to oil consumption. The chain in the timing drive is designed for a run of 250,000 km, diagnostics, for 150,000. Problems were noted when starting in cold weather. Especially for cars with mechanics, where the clutch cannot be fully squeezed out during startup, and there is no possibility to adjust it. The Corolla has 2 gearboxes, a 6-speed mechanics and a variator. So far, there are no special claims for both. There were no negative statistics. The mechanics accept that the clutch pedal creaks. It needs to be lubricated periodically. The clutch itself, at present, nurses relatively modestly, 70 to 90,000 km each. And the cost of replacing it with spare parts is about $500. The suspension is usually praised. Comfortable and energy efficient. It also provides good handling and directional stability. If some annoying sound appears from below, then only the sound from the road and tires. Many owners recommend additional soundproofing of the wheel arches. But if this problem is solvable, then, unfortunately, nothing can be done about tapping brake calipers. They can be oiled or changed, but the knock-knock always comes back. Do not be surprised if, as an active pilot, you find that the life of the front pads and brake discs is somehow suspiciously comparable. There were cases of replacing the entire set after 30,000 km. There are no serious complaints about the electrician. Of the most systemic, one can distinguish dissatisfaction with acoustics. No one likes its sound. Somewhat less often, you can stumble upon information about buggy side mirrors. After washing in the cold, they lose their correct position and fold forward, against the direction of the car. Not everyone can return them to their previous settings. In a word, the 11th generation Toyota Corolla has lost its former glory of an indestructible car of unprecedented quality. Next to competitors, she, perhaps, is still a who, but in comparison with her former self, alas, she is losing ground and sagging. As for the most optimal version, we see such a car in the advanced style configuration with an average 1.6-liter engine and a 6-speed manual gearbox. Living with mechanics, you know, is always calmer, especially when there is only a variator as an alternative. The chassis of the vehicles delivered to Ukraine received a reinforced suspension without weak points. More often than other parts, you will have to change the stabilizer struts and bushings. Already every 80,000 km. The figure is indicative. At high speeds, above the legal limit, the Corolla's suspension tends to tap. But this is not a breakdown, but another feature. The multi-drive S variator has a feature of stupid after slipping. In other words, the thrust does not return for several seconds. This is not considered a breakdown or marriage. This is his algorithm. By the way, in the sport mode there are no traction failures. The instruction manual says that the variator does not need maintenance. The owners noted a small resource of airflow and coolant temperature sensors, which serve an average of 60,000 km. Problems with motors are rare, and their resource is about 250,000 km. Alas, the ZR series engines are not repairable. The block can only be used once, since it is made of aluminum, traditionally without repair dimensions, with all the ensuing consequences. The doors and trunk lid do not close easily. It takes effort. Moisture can get inside the doors on the glass, where it freezes, completely or partially blocking the mechanisms of locks or power windows. The trunk lid also freezes, or rather, its remote opening cable. The main symptom is that the lid is open, but it is no longer possible to close it. It's a shame, but the quality factor here has become less than before. Many owners do not like the gaps that result in crickets. The main sources of noise are the instrument panel visor, the panel itself, the ceiling light and rattling, lowered windows. By the way, the ceiling collects condensate from under the roof of the car. The seats are comfortable and there is enough space. Upholstery fabric gets dirty quickly. It is cleaned, however, it is also easy.